Episode 56. Menma's plan to induce Naruto to turn evil. Don't know? Menma frowned, looking puzzled. No, weren't you very angry before, looking like you were going to kill someone? If I hadn't stopped him at that time, maybe Naruto would have gone berserk on the spot. As a result, now he says he doesn't know what he is going to do? Naruto lowered his head and said, I feel that what I did to Konohamaru before was not good. That little brat, he may not know anything. Menma frowned and asked, but what about the third Hokage? If it is finally figured out that he did take away all your parents' inheritance, even the scarf your mother knitted for you, what are you going to do? It shouldn't be. Naruto's tone was a little weak. Third-generation grandpa shouldn't do such a thing. There should be some misunderstanding. Hearing this, Menma and Kuro Kakashi looked at each other. They both saw the speechlessness in each other's eyes. The current situation is very obvious. Ashura's will in Naruto is working again. Come, Naruto, I want to ask you. Menma walked up to Naruto, looked at him and said, you are the son of the fourth Hokage, and Sarutobi Konohamaru is the grandson of the third Hokage. The difference between your two lives, do I need to tell you about this? Naruto bowed his head and said nothing. Have you never heard how others call you? Menma felt that he really couldn't understand. They all call you a demon fox kid, and a monster. Haven't you heard it? I don't believe you haven't heard it once. Those villagers of Konoha didn't dare to go too far on the surface. But in private chats, when talking about Naruto, who would care if they directly called Naruto a demon fox? Can they manage it? Call you, the son of the Hokage, a demon fox. Menma sneered and said, at the same time, I also heard that Sarutobi's tutor, the 680 Yuan, and the passers-by around him all called him the young master of Konoha. He is the young master, and you are a demon fox. Don't you feel uncomfortable in your heart? Duh. Naruto couldn't help but retorted, this has nothing to do with Konohamaru? I won't fight that little brat. Menma was almost laughing. I'm talking about the third Hokage of Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Why does he treat you, the son of a hero, like this in the village? But the third Hokage is very good to me. Naruto whispered. Hearing this, Menma and Kuro Kakashi were really speechless. Naruto, how do you think Sarutobi Hiruzen is good to you? Kuro Kakashi asked in a deep voice, I have also learned about your father. He is a well-known golden flash in this ninja world. Your mother is the last descendant of the Uzumaki clan in Konoha village. After these two people died in the Nine Tails Rebellion, would there be no inheritance left for you? Why is the scarf your mother knitted for you in Sarutobi Hiruzen's house? Do you think that the scarf is the only thing in Sarutobi Hiruzen's house? Black Kakashi felt that he was getting angrier and angrier. Sarutobi Hiruzen, that bastard. What the hell is going on? You didn't even give the scarf that your mother knitted for her child to the child. Even if you don't want to tell Naruto about his life experience, you can just make up some other reasons to fool him and give the scarf to Naruto. Is this difficult to do? But no. You didn't do anything. That scarf has been lying quietly in Sarutobi Hiruzen's house for 12 years. Naruto hugged his head with both hands, his expression twisted with pain, but. Third Grandpa Hokage personally gives me living expenses every month. It can't be like that. How could third Hokage be a bad guy? Absolutely impossible. Just based on this? Kakashi Kuro was almost laughing. Naruto, think about it yourself, Sarutobi Hiruzen is a Hokage, and he has a lot of work to do as a Hokage. Why do you think he has to come and give you living expenses every month? Why does he do this to you? And not to others? Because my father is the fourth Hokage? Naruto asked speculatively. I am really defeated by you. Kakashi Kuro held his forehead. If you are the son of a hero, Sarutobi Hiruzen wants to take good care of you, why does he only give you such a small living expenses every month? Even if your parents really don't have any inheritance, but for you, the son of a hero, Konoha should give you a little more money to make your life more comfortable, right? Naruto was stunned. It seems to make some sense. When the third Hokage grandfather gave me living expenses every month, I was very grateful. This means my food money for the next month. But now, after learning that his father was the fourth Hokage, Naruto suddenly realized something was wrong. Why was he so grateful to the third Hokage before and thought he was very good to him? Because he used to think he was an orphan. So, he was naturally very grateful to the third Hokage who gave him money every month so that he could live and grow up. But he is actually the son of the fourth Hokage. He is the son of the fourth Hokage who sealed 9 tails with his life. If he is the son of a hero, why does he live such a miserable life? Everyone dislikes him. His life is also extremely difficult. This doesn't make sense. But why? Naruto's eyes revealed confusion. Grandpa third Hokage, why does he personally send me living expenses every month? Naruto, have you forgotten your other identity? Menma pointed at Naruto's belly and said, for the ninja village of Konoha, your most important identity is not the son of a hero, but 9 tails Jinchuriki. Naruto's face turned pale. 9 tails Jinchuriki, thanks to the explanations of these visitors from other worlds. He now roughly understands what Jinchuriki is. A strategic weapon of a ninja village. Hokage-sama, is this the purpose for you to approach and take care of Naruto? Haruno Sakura said with shock. These contents almost shattered her worldview. Originally, she was still hesitating. These people are alien visitors who intend to invade this ninja world. As a ninja of Konoha, should she try to report this information at the risk of her life? Because she has always cooperated honestly, Naruto was given the tongue trouble root seal to prevent him from talking nonsense, but she does not have such a restriction on her. But now, Haruno Sakura is really confused. If the Hokage of Konoha is really such a person, is it worth it for her to risk her life to report this information? Impossible. Naruto suddenly roared, with a ferocious expression, fake, all fake. Third Hokage Grandpa, he can't just use me. Liar, you bunch of liars, you are all lying to me. For so many years, the Hokage Grandpa he was closest to and most grateful to. In fact, he embezzled his parents' inheritance and just wanted to use him. He couldn't accept this kind of thing anyway. Naruto, there is one more thing about Sarutobi Hiruzen. Menma sighed softly and said, I have carefully listened to what the Konoha villagers said before, and I found that Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, seems to have issued a ban, prohibiting the villagers from discussing your affairs. Is there any problem with this? Haruno Sakura asked puzzledly. This should be to protect Naruto, right? Humph. How do you think he should issue this order? Menma sneered and said, prohibit discussion of Naruto being a demon fox? Or maybe more conservative, prohibit discussion of Naruto's affairs? Do you know what such a ban means to ordinary people? Naruto and Haruno Sakura looked over here. What does it mean? The first law of politics. Kuro Kakashi raised a finger and said, only official denials are credible. Hearing this, Naruto was still frowning and thinking. And Haruno Sakura had already reacted first. His face became paler and paler. This, if there is such a ban. Haruno Sakura's body trembled a little, then it is telling everyone that Naruto is problematic and even a demon fox. This is equivalent to the official statement of approval for the demon fox's message. Once this ban comes out, those who are still hesitating should believe it. Uzumaki Naruto, that kid, he is a demon fox. It's confirmed. But, could it be that the third Hokage didn't consider this point? Haruno Sakura speculated in a low voice. Do you think Sarutobi Hiruzen is a fool? Menma rolled his eyes. Calculate it, Sarutobi Hiruzen in your ninja world has been the Hokage for more than 30 years, more than half of Konoha's history. For such a long time, the Hokage who holds great power. How can he not even understand this basic common sense? Haruno Sakura's face became paler. Doesn't that mean that the third Hokage deliberately wants everyone to know that Naruto is a demon fox? I can't figure it out. Naruto pulled his hair in annoyance. Third Hokage Grandpa, he has no reason to do this. There can be many reasons. Kuro Kakashi thought for a while and said, for example, after the Nine Tails Rebellion, the Konoha villagers may have resentment in their hearts. This resentment needs 10 outlets to vent. And this outlet? Kuro Kakashi said, pointing at Naruto. Naruto clenched his fists at once. This should be one of the reasons that Sarutobi Hiruzen considered. Menma nodded and said, I have personally experienced the deep malice of the Konoha villagers towards Naruto. Obviously, Naruto served as a channel for the villagers to vent their resentment and anger. There may be other reasons. Kuro Kakashi knocked his head and said, for example, if everyone else rejects you, and Sarutobi Hiruzen is the opposite, he will come to your door every month to give you living expenses. In this case, you, Nine Tails Jinchuriki, will be very close to him and trust him. Naruto's breathing gradually became rapid. He was very reluctant to believe these. However, after talking more and more, these contents, these things that he originally couldn't understand, seemed to be connected and became logical. Could it be that the truth is like this? There is another thing, Sarutobi Hiruzen concealed your identity as the son of the hero, which doesn't make sense. Menma thought for a while and said, your father, the fourth Hokage, may have made many enemies, and someone may come to you for revenge. However, for other ninja villages, it should be Nine Tails Jinchuriki's identity that is more valuable for assassination, right? Nine Tails Jinchuriki is a strategic nuclear weapon of a ninja village. It must be more confidential than the identity of the son of the hero, right? As a result, the situation is reversed. Nine Tails Jinchuriki's identity has been made known to everyone because of the rumors of the demon fox. On the contrary, the identity of the son of the hero has been kept secret all the time. If it is for the conspiracy I just mentioned, then this makes sense. Kuro Kakashi nodded and said, expose Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Your identity as a Jinchuriki makes others reject you. At the same time, you conceal your identity as the hero's son, so that the only person who is close to you and cares about you is Sarutobi Hiruzen. After such an operation, Nine Tails Jinchuriki can be firmly controlled and used. No, this is not true. A thin layer of sweat rose on Naruto's forehead, his breathing became more and more rapid, and his face turned pale. What he thought in the past was actually all fake. Grandpa Third Hokage just wanted to use him, and was the mastermind behind his miserable life. Naruto, accept the reality. Menma sighed. Naruto held his head, with a painful face. I can probably understand that it is painful to realize that a person who has always been good to you is actually a bad person. Kuro Kakashi nodded and said, but... Naruto, don't you feel angry? Sarutobi Hiruzen calculated you and used you like this, don't you want to seek revenge on him? Naruto said nothing. There was confusion in his eyes. I am curious, Menma's mind suddenly moved, do you still want to become Hokage and get the recognition of those Konoha villagers now? Naruto hesitated a little. However, seeing this reaction, Menma and Kuro Kakashi both understood. This unlucky child still thinks so now. The influence of Ashura Chakra is really terrible. On the dial of the watch, an illusory figure appeared. The communication with the Empire was successfully connected. Your Majesty. Menma looked respectful and recounted the previous events in detail. At this moment, Chang Ye, who was in another world, listened, nodded slightly, and asked, so, what are you going to do now? Menma 2.4 thought for a while and said, Your Majesty, can you let Naruto go to the Empire and ask you to help remove the Ashura will in his chakra? This is the equivalent of myself in this world. Although the brain is not very smart, the personality is also very stubborn. However, seeing that my life in another world has been ruined like this, and at the same time, my will is still affected by Ashura Chakra. Menma feels that he really can't stand it. He must find a way to change it. Don't do it for now. Chang Ye shook his head slightly and said, if Naruto, the reincarnation of Ashura Chakra, is taken away again, I'm afraid the Sage of Six Paths will immediately notice it and react. Although it should be difficult for the Sage of Six Paths to descend directly into the world now. However, through some other methods, the Sage of Six Paths can still affect the world and interfere with the Empire's advance team. Well, if you want to solve Naruto's problem, I don't necessarily have to do it myself. Chang Ye thought for a moment and said, you can also try other methods on your own. To be honest, Chang Ye is also very interested in Naruto. Given Uzumaki Naruto's upbringing, it would be abnormal if he didn't turn evil. If we can find a way to remove the influence of Ashura Chakra, it should be very interesting. Dit? Menma's eyes lit up, is there any other way we can do it ourselves? Of course. Chang Ye smiled and said, Naruto's problem lies in the influence of Ashura's will in his body. So, if you want to solve this problem, why don't you try to communicate with Madara? P.S. Sasuke only has a part of Indra's will that has been stripped away, and here we are talking about communicating with Indra himself. Indra should exist independently as a soul, and chakra is constantly reincarnated, so Sasuke and Uchiha Madara, the two chakra reincarnations, can exist at the same time in the 4 battles. Episode 57, Indra enters Naruto's body and reaches a consensus with Nine Tails. Naruto's home. What are you doing? Naruto looked at Menma and Kuro Kakashi who were fiddling around with something, confused. What do these two guys want to do? Just now. They left for a while. They found an empty room and did something. Then, after coming out, they called him over and told him to stand still. Just stay there. Menma pressed his palms on the ground and continuously constructed a dark chakra formation on the ground. I'll introduce you to a new friend later. New friend? Naruto was getting more and more confused. No. You too, is this how you introduce friends? It looks like you are preparing some ninjutsu. And it's a very complicated ninjutsu. For a long time. The dense black techniques have spread throughout the room. The edge even climbed up the wall. Okay. Menma wiped the sweat from his forehead and said with relief, finally, the construction is completed. This is what His Majesty just taught them. After constructing this formation, you can communicate with Otsutsuki Indra. According to His Majesty, Indra himself now exists only in the form of a soul body. However, Indra's soul body is neither in the Pure Land nor in the present world, but in the gap between the present world and the Pure Land. Therefore, Indra's chakra can continue to reincarnate in the bloodline descendants of the present world. And this chakra formation they are constructing now, after activation, can contact Indra. As for the future, after Indra notices this place, whether he will come over, it depends on Indra's own intention. However, now, standing in the center of this communication formation is Naruto, the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. I think Indra should be interested in coming to take a look. Get ready, your new friend is coming. Menma smiled and slapped the ground with his palm. Buzz. On the ground, the dense and complicated chakra formation was activated. A series of dark spells glowed, scaring Naruto who was standing in the middle. Stand there and don't move. Menma looked at Naruto who wanted to escape and shouted. You, what on earth are you going to do? Naruto 11 was so scared that he dared not move. Why does it seem like he is going to be sacrificed? Soon. In this room, a strange wave suddenly came from the air. This formation is very interesting. A somewhat unreal voice appeared in Naruto's home. Are you contacting me through this formation? Who taught you? How do you know that this can contact me? In the air. An unreal spirit floated there out of thin air. The person had a messy black long hair, casually scattered behind him. Dark eyes, sharp gaze, hands casually behind the back, examining everyone present. He was wearing a white robe with 6 Magatama patterns on the collar. Who are you? Naruto trembled, looking at this spirit that appeared out of thin air. How could this guy float in the air? And his body seemed to be a little transparent. Oh no. Could this be a ghost? VR. Indra looked at Naruto, and his eyebrows suddenly moved. Are you the reincarnation of Ashura chakra of this generation? No. Not only that. Indra turned his head and looked at Menma again, staring at him for a moment, and his face changed. How come this boy also has the breath of Ashura chakra? And the breath is very strong, not an ordinary descendant of blood. And these two boys look very similar. Both have golden hair and blue eyes. Hello, Senior Indra. Menma smiled and introduced himself. My name is Namikaze Menma, and I was the reincarnation of Ashura chakra of this generation in my world. After some explanation, Indra roughly understood the current situation. Tura. Indra's eyes flickered slightly. Is there such a thing? It's really interesting. This is the current situation. Menma cleared his throat and said, Naruto has suffered a lot of unfair treatment, but because of the influence of Ashura chakra, he still wants to forgive those people and even wants to gain their recognition. Indra snorted. Ashura is still as childish as ever. Seeing this, Menma nodded secretly. Sure enough. Looking at Indra's reaction now, what he wants to do next is probably going to work. If it's someone else, I don't bother to care about it. Menma looked at Naruto and said, but, Naruto is my counterpart in this ninja world, he is me in this ninja world. So, I don't want Naruto to be like this forever. So, after the guidance of His Majesty, we contacted you, Senior Indra. Listen to Menma. Indra pondered for a moment, looked at Menma, and said, you said before that when you were a child, Your Majesty stripped away the influence of Ashura's will on you? No wonder. He could sense the strong smell of Ashura chakra in this boy. However, this boy cannot be regarded as the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. That's right. Menma smiled and said, I didn't know what this meant at first, but now that I see Naruto, I know how important it is to have your own independent will and not be influenced by others. If it weren't for Your Majesty, he might have grown into what Naruto is now. It's scary to think about it. In that case, why not let Your Majesty take action again? Indra was a little curious and said, It shouldn't be difficult for your majesty to help Naruto remove the influence of Ashura's will in his body. Although he didn't know the specific realm and strength of the Otherworld Emperor. However, he could probably guess. He must have surpassed him and Ashura. He might even have surpassed his father and Uncle Hamura. Perhaps, the Emperor has reached the realm that Kagaya's grandmother once reached. I originally thought so, but your majesty doesn't recommend us to do this. Menma shook his head and said, Your Majesty said that if we do this, the Sage of Six Paths in the Pure Land will wake up immediately, and then notice our existence, and then interfere with our actions, with the strength of their advance team. Dealing with the 5 Kages of the ninja world is naturally no problem. However, facing the Sage of Six Paths, their strength is not enough. Indra narrowed his eyes and looked at Menma and said, Why should I help you? How do I know what your intentions are for this ninja world? Just make sure of one thing. We are not here to destroy this ninja world. Menma raised a finger and said, After we came to this ninja world, we found that there are many unreasonable places in this ninja world, and we hope to change them. And, many of these unreasonable places are still caused by the Sage of Six Paths. Senior Indra, I think you should also have a lot of dissatisfaction with this ninja world created and led by the Sage of Six Paths to establish order, right? Indra's face was serious. This junior. He is really good at talking. He is really a little persuaded now. That's right. The order of this ninja world was created by the Sage of Six Paths, his younger brother Ashura, and Ashura's chakra reincarnations. What does it have to do with a loser like me? And I do have a lot of dissatisfaction with the current ninja world. I admit, you convinced me. Indra nodded, then turned to look at Naruto. Do you need me to get rid of the influence of Ashura Chakra's will? I haven't tried to do this before, but it's worth a try. As he said, Indra's illusory spirit floated gently and sank directly into Naruto's body. Naruto was shocked and looked down at his stomach. He. Where did that person just now go? Could he have entered my body? Swish. Space transformation. In the sealed space inside Naruto's body. Your name is Uzumaki Naruto, right? Indra stood in the dark sewer, pulled Naruto's consciousness in, and said, I will need to live in your body for a while in the future. His strength and realm are generally comparable to Ashura's. If he wants to get rid of the influence of Ashura's will, it will take him some time. However, this matter is very interesting. And this process should not be boring. Long time no see. Indra turned his head and looked at the big fox in the giant red prison, Kurama. Inside the prison, Nine-Tails' huge body was desperately shrinking into the prison. The back was arched, the hair was raised, the teeth were bared, and a pair of fox pupils stared at the figure in a white robe outside. Nine-Tails let out a low roar. It's so annoying. He was stunned before. What are these visitors from Otherworld doing? Why did they find Indra? Can the fox live? Seeing the familiar figure of Indra. Some memories that have been hidden in the depths of his mind for thousands of years are gradually recalled by Nine-Tails. Thousands of years ago. Although it was Ashura who teamed up to defeat Indra. But it was mainly Ashura's credit. Now it is the only fox. Use your head to fight Indra. Although Indra is now a posthumous soul, he can't deal with it at all. Huh? Kurama? Naruto looked at Indra, then at the furry fox in the prison, and asked curiously, Is this the name of this big fox? Nine-Tails, the demon fox sealed in his body. There is a name? Yes. Indra looked at Naruto, and suddenly he was a little dazed. Kurama and the others were originally created by my father, and each of them has his own name. But Kurama was much cuter when he was a child. Looking at Naruto in front of him now, Indra suddenly felt like when he was a child and went out to play with his younger brother Ashura. But, cute? Naruto was shocked, and turned to look at the fox as big as a hill in the prison. This big fox, can it be described as cute? Kurama looked at Naruto, bared his teeth, and said angrily, Indra, shut up. Why are you saying this to Naruto, a little kid? And he actually used the word cute to describe himself. This is unreasonable. He is the strongest tailed beast, Nine-Tails Kurama. Hey, Naruto. Nine-Tails was still huddled in the innermost part of the prison, roaring at Naruto, go find a way to drive him out. Don't let this guy stay here. What a joke. If Indra also lives here, will he still be alive? Before, he was the only fox, although it was boring, but at least he could watch Naruto's live broadcast at any time. But now, if another Indra lives here, it will have to live in fear every day in the future. Ah, me? Naruto looked at Indra, a little confused, and pointed at himself. Let me drive this ghost-like guy out? Kara, don't react so much. Indra suddenly smiled and said, we should be neighbors for a while in the future. I, Kurama, and Naruto, the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. I think it won't be boring for a while in the future. Roar. Nine-Tails' hair stood up, and a low roar came out of his mouth. Who wants to be your neighbor? 590. As soon as it senses Indra's Sharingan power, it will feel uncomfortable all over. DSA. Indra thought for a while, and suddenly said to Naruto, for those people in Konoha village who are hostile, repulsive, and even bully you, and the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, you don't plan to take revenge on them, right? Ah. I. Naruto didn't expect the topic to suddenly return to the previous question, and his face fell all of a sudden. I don't know what to do. But I don't want to get their return. That means I really don't plan to take revenge. Indra nodded and said, you are 12 years old now, and your will has been greatly affected by Ashura's will. But it doesn't matter. In the future, I will gradually eliminate the influence of Ashura's will on you. Add some trouble to Ashura. He was very interested in this kind of thing. Kurama, you have been in Naruto's body all the time, you must know Naruto's experience very well. Indra turned to Nine-Tails and said, also, the one who sealed you in Naruto's body should be the person from Konoha village outside, right? Duh. Nine-Tails suddenly screamed and stared at Naruto. It is this kid's father, Konoha's fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. That bastard. Not only did he seal himself, he even sealed him in half. For Nine-Tails, this insult is almost comparable to Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. Indra nodded slowly, thought for a while and said, in this case, you should also hate the person from Konoha village outside? Of course. Although Nine-Tails didn't know what Indra wanted to say, he still answered honestly. In that case, we are actually on the same side. Indra suddenly smiled and said, I hope to dissolve the influence of Ashura's will in Naruto's body, so that Naruto will no longer desire to seek the recognition of those who hurt him. And Kurama, you should also want to take revenge on those outside. Nine-Tails' huge ears moved slightly. Indra, this guy, seems to have some truth. So, I and Indra, now it seems that they have become a group? And standing on the other side of it and Indra, is Naruto, the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. How did it turn around? Thousands of years ago, it and Ashura joined forces to deal with Indra. Now, it has become that it and Indra are trying to influence and change Naruto, the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. Fate is really wonderful. Soon, one man and one fox successfully reached a consensus. Naruto, don't think about seeking the recognition of those idiot villagers. Nine-Tails no longer tried to retreat into the prison like before, and instigated Naruto, go kill those bastards who bullied you. Especially that bastard Sarutobi Hiruzen. Go. Kill his whole family. Naruto, Episode 58. Indra, Naruto, you are a little too gay. Naruto looked at the man and the fox in the sealed space. He felt a little confused. Didn't the big fox want him to drive out the ghost-like guy just now? Why now, these two guys seem to be in the same group again. Kurama, you can't do this. Indra waved his hand and said, the influence of Ashura's will cannot be changed by simply instigating a few words like you. Then what do you think we should do? Nine-Tails said that he was willing to ask for advice. In dealing with Ashura, Indra must be more experienced. Spend more time and take your time, Indra said. He was very confident in solving Naruto's problem. After all, now, he was his real body in Naruto's body. And Ashura just existed in Naruto's body in the form of chakra reincarnation. What's more, Nine-Tails was standing beside him now. If he still couldn't dissolve the influence of Ashura's will, then he would just return to the Pure Land, and why would he keep fighting with Ashura from generation to generation? Indra thought for a while and asked Naruto, Naruto, is there anything you want to do now? Maybe I can help you realize it. For example, want to improve strength or something. In this regard, he is not very confident. Something you particularly want to do? Naruto scratched his head, thought for a while, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Can you help me bring Sasuke back? Sasuke was taken away by those guys from Otherworld. Indra raised his eyebrows. The name is Uchiha Sasuke, and he is your descendant. Nine Tails explained in the prison. Moreover, it should be the reincarnation of chakra of your generation. In order to improve his strength, he voluntarily chose to go to the Empire of Otherworld. It's not voluntary. Naruto glared at Nine Tails. Sasuke was deceived by those guys. Tisk. Nine Tails sneered. Ah, yes, Sasuke was not voluntary, he was deceived. Nine Tails didn't say much, and lay down again inside the prison. Indra looked back and forth between Naruto and Nine Tails. To be honest, he was more willing to believe Nine Tails' words. Nine Tails was on the same side as him now, so there was no reason to lie to him. And Naruto, this kid seemed to be a little wishful. Do you really want Sasuke to come back? Indra asked curiously. That Uchiha Sasuke, he took the initiative to go to Otherworld, should it be to obtain better resources and environment, to improve his strength? I think Sasuke did this for his own reasons, seeing what he was eager to achieve. In that case, do you still want Sasuke to stay here? He didn't know the specific experience of Uchiha Sasuke, the current reincarnation of his chakra. He had to wait until Sasuke died in the future and his soul returned to the Pure Land. Only then could he fully see the life experience of the new generation of his chakra reincarnation. Naruto said unconvincedly, if Sasuke wants to practice and improve his strength, I can go with him. Why go to those guys? The previous tree climbing practice was done by him and Sasuke together. Both of them tried their best. In the end, they successfully reached the top together. After that, it was Sasuke who supported him back when he was almost exhausted. It was also because of that time that his attitude towards Sasuke changed a lot. In addition, before, on the bridge of Wave Country, Sasuke desperately blocked Bai's Ice Thousand books for him. For Sasuke, who tried his best to protect him, he certainly didn't want Sasuke to leave. Indra's sighed. Listening to Naruto bit by bit, talking about the bond between him and Sasuke. Indra's face became a little weird. Nine Tails, who was also listening, couldn't help shaking his body. Naruto, you little brat, why are you talking so disgustingly? If you don't know, you might think your wife ran away with someone else. Indra, actually, he feels the same way. Naruto, this guy, always feels so gay when he mentions that Uchiha Sasuke. No, what are these chakra reincarnations of his own generation and Ashura's chakra reincarnation? Why are the bonds and feelings between each other developing in a weird direction? The previous generation of chakra reincarnations, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, were also like this. Indra felt that he couldn't figure it out. He and Ashura were not like this at the beginning. It was a normal brotherhood that was very good at the beginning, but later broke up. Why did the younger generation of chakra reincarnations become like this little by little? Hey, help you bring Sasuke back, I probably can't do this. Indra coughed lightly and threw away a bunch of strange thoughts in his mind. Naruto was disappointed. I thought you were very powerful, but you are just like this. Indra suddenly felt a little excited and tried to suppress it, calm down, and said to Naruto, although I can't help you bring Sasuke back directly, but accept my teachings, you work hard to practice, improve your strength. Maybe you can bring Sasuke back by yourself. Naruto's eyes lit up instantly. How about it, isn't it more meaningful this way? Indra smiled and said, use your own strength to bring Sasuke back by yourself. Yeah. Naruto nodded repeatedly. In that case, you have to work hard to practice in the future. Indra nodded and said, your current foundation is a bit too poor, but it doesn't matter, Kurama and I will teach you together later. In the future teaching Naruto, as long as he continues to use his chakra to influence Naruto and solve Ashura's will, it will only be a matter of time. Nine Tails in the prison moved his ears. Why is there still my business? On the other side. The Kingdom of Wind. The ruins of the ancient city of Lulon submerged in the sea of trees. Shiro Kakashi, Obito, and Senju Hashirama received the Flying Thunder God contact from Hashirama Wood Clone. The three of them directly activated the Flying Thunder God teleportation array. In an instant, they arrived at the Kingdom of Wind. At this time, Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro were trembling. They now understood why the god of ninja, who had been dead for decades, suddenly reappeared. Because these guys came from Otherworld. They invaded their ninja world from Otherworld. Are you a Gaara? Obito looked at Gaara's face carefully and asked speculatively. EXEJ? Gaara replied coldly. Fell into the hands of these guys. Even the perfect Shikaku is no match. He has now completely given up the idea of resistance. The worst that can happen is death. If you fail to kill your enemy, your existence will not be able to continue. TSK, the Gaara in another ninja world also has no eyebrows. Obito said in surprise. Gaara had a cold face. Is this person crazy? Does it have anything to do with you whether you have eyebrows or not? Wait, you are talking about this with Yuan Luo in the Zhaojie. Temari's face changed, and suddenly realized something. Does it mean that there is also a Gaara in your ninja world? Of course. Obito said as a matter of course, however, our Gaara is much better than this kid. Even in the Imperial Central University, his grades can be ranked in the top. Gaara on the Empire's side. Among his peers, is just inferior to Menma, Sasuke, Neji, who are descendants of gods. But apart from these people, Gaara is the absolute strongest among his peers. Besides, our Gaara is a serious top student. Obito looked at Gaara with disgust. Unlike you, you have tattoos and eyeshadows, you are so young, what a joke. Gaara subconsciously touched his face. Tattoos and eyeshadows? Is he talking about himself? The tattoo probably refers to the word love on his forehead. But what the hell is eyeshadow? When did he do such a fancy thing? Temari couldn't help laughing out loud. Seeing his brother looking at him coldly, he quickly stopped laughing and helped explain. Gaara, this is not eyeshadow, is because he was affected by Shikaku and couldn't sleep peacefully, so he became like this. Thinking about his brother, he is really pitiful. Because of Shikaku's disturbance, he can't sleep well every night. If it were me, I would have gone crazy by now. Can't sleep peacefully? Obito looked puzzled. Why is that? Jinchuriki, this form of using the power of the tailed beast, he has only seen it in history textbooks. Will this form cause the Jinchuriki as a container to be unable to sleep? I have learned something about this. Kakashi looked at Gaara and said in a deep voice, it seems that because Sunagakure's sealing technique is not good enough, the seal of 10 tails Jinchuriki is very unstable. The result is that the tailed beast in Jinchuriki's body can interfere with Jinchuriki's spirit at any time. But the 9 tails Jinchuriki of their Konoha will not be like this. 9 tails can only pull Jinchuriki's consciousness into the sealed space when Jinchuriki's emotions fluctuate violently. Just because you want to use the power of the tailed beast. Obito felt his jaw drop. You don't hesitate to let Jinchuriki sleep every night? This is too backward, too primitive, right? This is simply anti-human. The circle around Gaara's eyes is not eyeshadow, smoky makeup, or something like that. Those are the dark circles caused by not being able to sleep all night long. Senju Hashirama sighed and said with a very gloomy face, these things, to be honest, are all my fault. It was his idea to lead the distribution of the tailed beasts to the major ninja villages. If he had chosen to unify the 5 major countries and the 5 major ninja villages at the beginning, there would not have been the subsequent ninja world wars. If he had not distributed the tailed beasts at the beginning, the subsequent ninja world wars would have been less tragic. Also, these Jinchuriki. The tragic fate of Jinchuriki generation after generation is also partly due to him. You don't need to blame yourself too much, first generation. Kakashi comforted him and said, in the ninja world, there have been so many ninja world wars, mainly because of resource allocation and people's inner greed, especially for someone like Gaara, who would rather keep Jinchuriki awake than use the power of the tailed beasts. This is the fault of the ninja village and the shadow of the village, and you can't blame it all on you. After reading so many books that Obito brought from another world, Kakashi felt that he had a much deeper understanding of the past events. Opposite. Gaara suddenly frowned and said, Shikaku is still making trouble. Shikaku seems to be particularly irritable today. After being forced to release the tailed beast form just now, Shikaku still didn't stop in his body. Still calling the device. Instigating, he wanted to find a chance to escape quickly. 73. Trying to find a chance to escape in front of these guys? This is not the way to seek death. Shikaku. Well, maybe I can help you strengthen the seal in your body first. Senju Hashirama thought about it, stretched out his hand, and tapped Gaara's forehead with his fingers. Swish. Space transformation. In the sealed space inside Gaara's body. When Shikaku saw Senju Hashirama coming in, the whole raccoon cat was going crazy and retreated frantically. Don't come over here. One Tail, you are a little too active, you should be quiet for a while. Senju Hashirama clasped his hands together. Sage art, Myojinman. Boom. A huge red torii fell from the sky. Myojinman easily suppressed Shikaku's huge and fat body. Then, Senju Hashirama stretched out his hand again. and a large amount of brown wood extended from his hand and tied Shikaku. Damn, you bastard. Shikaku struggled desperately. Damn, first Hokage, let me go. Its chakra was almost completely suppressed. It couldn't get out at all. Swish. In the sealed space, another figure came in. How about I help as an extra layer of insurance? Obito smiled, his eyes flashed red. Sleep peacefully, and let Gaara have a good rest at night. Mangekyo Sharingan? Shikaku was almost going crazy, trying desperately to look away, but he was tied up by wood style and couldn't do it at all. Soon, his eyes gradually turned into the pattern of Sharingan, but damn. Who did I offend? I can let wood style, Ma, and Mangekyo Sharingan greet me one after another. The last person who was treated like this seemed to be that stinky fox, right? Mangekyo's pupil power was injected. Shikaku's consciousness was rejected and he completely lost control of his body. He was still trying to struggle, but now he was completely quiet. Outside world. Okay. Senju Hashirama looked relieved. You should be able to sleep well later. Gaara, how are you now? Temari said with concern. Yeah, now the destruction of Shikaku can't disturb you? Kankuro is the same. Although this brother has a special personality. As older brothers and sisters, they still want to care about their younger brother. I really can't hear Shikaku's shouting. Gaara looked a little dazed, and couldn't help closing his eyes, but still didn't hear the familiar sharp cry. The soul felt the long-lost tranquility. In this almost forgotten tranquility, Gaara felt that he almost had the urge to cry. I'm sorry, boy. Senju Hashirama said seriously, I don't know if I can check your memory. I want to know the living status of this Shinobihara Yujinjiri. Gaara subconsciously wanted to say something, but, after carefully experiencing the tranquility in his heart at the moment, he slightly turned his head and said, You are free to do as you please. Temari and Kankuro on the side were surprised. Is Gaara arrogant? Thank you very much. Senju Hashirama said seriously. Then, he put his hand on Gaara's head. The secret technique of the Yamanaka clan, he spent a lot of effort to successfully master it before coming. Soon. In Gaara's mind, the past memories were read out by Senju Hashirama. After a long time, Senju Hashirama roughly read through Gaara's memory. His expression changed a little bit. Your father, the fourth Kazekage. Senju Hashirama's expression was slightly hesitant, and asked, Is he really your biological father? Episode 59. Raza is not worthy of being a father, Orochimaru's tricks. Huh? Temari and Kankuro, seeing Senju Hashirama's changing expression, were curious about what he was going to say. As a result, they heard such a question. What do you mean, is his father Gaara's biological father? Is there any doubt about this? From the perspective of blood, it should be true. Gaara nodded with a cold face and said, Although, I also doubt whether I am his biological father. If that guy is really his biological father, then why would he treat himself like that? Just based on what Raza did to him. Life and death enemies are just like this. First generation senior, did you see anything just now? Uchiha Obito asked curiously. On the side. Shiro Kakashi is the same. How bad must the fourth Kazekage be to his own child to make the first Hokage have such doubts? Most of the boy's memories are about being feared, rejected, and even insulted and bullied by the villagers of Sand Shinobi. Senju Hashirama slowly said, These, although very unfortunate, may be the experiences of most Jinchuriki in this ninja world. Shiro Kakashi nodded slowly. Jinchuriki. The power of the tailed beast resides in the body. Once it goes berserk, it will cause extremely terrible casualties. The Nine Tails Rebellion in Konoha is the most typical example. In addition to Konoha, there are many records of tailed beasts going berserk in other ninja villages. For example, the 8 tails of Cloud Shinobi village used to go berserk in the village. Not to mention the one tail of Sunagakure. Wait, slow down. I don't quite understand. Obito interrupted quickly, you said that those ordinary villagers reject and fear Jinchuriki, which is normal. But bullying? Insulting? No, how dare they? They don't know the horror of Jinchuriki. They are indeed afraid of Jinchuriki and reject Jinchuriki. But at the same time, they dare not bully and insult them. Obito felt that he really couldn't understand the brain circuits of these people. Jinchuriki don't go berserk all the time. Shiro Kakashi guessed and explained, especially, many people became Jinchuriki at a young age. When the tailed beasts didn't go berserk, they were just children with little resistance. So, those villagers, who usually fear the tailed beasts, may not be able to suppress it. Directly and unscrupulously showed it to the bewildered child. I still can't understand it. Obito looked deeply shocked. How can there be 523 people so stupid? Aren't they afraid that the tailed beast will go berserk if they curse? If this happens, your life will be gone. Human nature is like this. Kakashi spread his hands and said helplessly, you are strong and far superior to others, and others will be afraid of you. But if you become weak one day, they will not be able to help but bully you. As for whether there will be any side effects of doing this, those people probably didn't consider it at the time. So, those people were only a little arrogant when I was young. Gaara crossed his arms and said grimly, after I can control Shikaku's power, whoever dares to say anything in front of me will be killed. This way, his ears were much quieter. Those people in Sunagakure are still afraid of him now. But at least no fool dares to insult him from a distance, or throw things at him. That's normal. Obito nodded repeatedly, those people are asking for benevolence. Gaara was a little surprised when he heard this. Don't you think my approach is a bit too extreme? Extreme? Where is this extreme? Obito was a little puzzled, and looked at Gaara in confusion. I even think you are not extreme enough. You are a Jinchuriki, a strategic weapon of the village. As a result, those stupid villagers not only don't have enough respect for you, but they actually dare to bully you in return? I'm so tired of living. Since those people are looking for death, isn't it normal for Gaara to fulfill their wishes and send them off? They haven't even thanked him yet. Gaara's eyes brightened up. A bosom friend. On the side. Temari and Kankuro were trembling. Aren't the thoughts of these people from Otherworld too extreme? Compared to these people, Gaara seems a little conservative. Actually, I can understand the reactions of those ordinary villagers and ninjas. Senju Hashirama said, looking at Gaara with sympathy, what I saw just now shocked me the most was that, the father of this child, the fourth Kazekage of Sunagakure, actually sent people to assassinate his son many times. Obito opened his mouth in shock. Hearing this, even Shiro Kakashi felt that he could no longer understand it. The biological father assassinated his own son. What kind of father can do such a thing? No, is it really correct? Obito felt that he was a little incoherent. Is there a possibility that Gaara, you are not actually your father's child, your father was cheated on by someone else, so he treats you like this? This way, it makes sense. Gaara's face was dark. What a mess. Stop talking nonsense, okay? Temari couldn't listen anymore. Gaara is the child of our father and mother. He inherited his father's red hair, and I inherited our mother's golden hair. We are both biological children. Obito was a little surprised, and suddenly turned to look at Kankuro's hair color. Then, in fact, you are the one born after your father was cheated on? Kankuro's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. It's just that his hair color didn't inherit his parents. How did he become a bastard born after being cheated on? Do these people from Otherworld have such a big imagination? This matter is indeed a little difficult to understand. Shiro Kakashi scratched his head in some confusion. What kind of purpose does a biological father have to send someone to assassinate his own son? I actually asked my father. Temari looked at Gaara with some hesitation, and said slowly, Father said that he hopes to test Gaara's device in this way. If Gaara can still control the power of Shikaku in this situation, then Gaara will be a qualified Jinchuriki. My father sent someone to assassinate Gaara. Temari also knew about this. She also wanted to stop it and went to find her father for this purpose. However, she was insignificant and had no say in front of her father. She couldn't change anything on her father's side. So, she wanted to go to Gaara and find a way to make up for it. However, Gaara's personality had become very extreme after so many stimulations from her father. Even her sister couldn't speak. What kind of brain circuits are you all thinking? Obito pulled his hair and said in confusion, Detector, how can there be such a detector? Why didn't he kill his whole family and use this method to detect the quantity? Senju Hashirama suddenly spoke, hesitantly, that fourth Kazekage, he actually did something similar. Obito was completely stunned. Not only Obito. Temari, Kankuro, both of them were stunned. Gaara, however, looked colder and colder. You should have an uncle named Yashimaru. Senju Hashirama explained, he was also sent by the fourth Kazekage to assassinate Gaara, but he failed in the end. Moreover, he said so many hurtful words after the assassination failed. Not only have I never loved you, I have always hated you. Your mother gave birth to you with hatred for the world. She hoped that you would become a Shura who only loves yourself. All these things. In Gaara's memory, he saw them all. After hearing these words, the young Gaara collapsed and went berserk. Unbelievable. Temari was a little absent-minded. Uncle Yashimaru, he also died because of this kind of thing. What on earth is father thinking? Kankuro pulled his hair irritably. Mother only has Uncle Yashimaru as a relative, and father actually sent Uncle Yashimaru to do this kind of thing. He was almost doubting whether his parents had a grudge. Otherwise, how could his uncle be used like this? But it shouldn't be. In his memory, the relationship between his parents should be very good. Your father, the Kazekage, must have some serious brain disease. Uchiha Obito shook his head repeatedly. This guy is so crazy. Normal people can't understand what he's thinking. Compared to Gaara's experience, Kakashi by side, Naruto's life can be called very happy. Although he is also a Jinchuriki. He is also rejected, hostile, and bullied by the people in the village. But at least Naruto was not assassinated by some psychopath. Although Naruto lost his parents when he was young, Gaara has a father. But judging from the result, Gaara's father, Raza, might as well have died directly. Also, Naruto can at least sleep well at night. As for Gaara, sleeping is a luxury. With such an experience, it's no wonder that this child has grown up like this. Senju Hashirama sighed. According to the Empire, this should be regarded as a deformed life experience that has caused cognitive impairment and mental illness. By the way, how should we deal with them in the future? Uchiha Obito looked at Gaara and the other two and said, although I sympathize with Gaara in the ninja world, but this child has a mental problem. We should not be able to solve this kind of thing, right? In the Empire, there are people who specialize in this kind of thing. Some ninjas of the old times had mental health problems because they performed cruel tasks for many years. Even after the establishment of the Empire, the ninja world entered a peaceful era, but the mental problems of those people were still not solved. On the contrary, because they can no longer perform the killing tasks of the past, the psychological problems have become more serious. Because of this, Your Majesty arranged Princess Tsunade took the lead and organized a group of people to study this psychological problem. To solve this problem, it is estimated that the Empire needs to send experienced people here. Well, this matter happens to be related to the tailed beast. Senju Hashirama looked at Gaara and said, report it first, the Empire will make a decision. Or, just send our Luosha here. Obito sincerely suggested to Gaara and his three siblings, then, you can just recognize our Luosha as your father. As for your biological father, just treat him as dead, forget it. Hearing this, Gaara didn't have any expression. Temari and Kankuro were both very upset. What is this person talking about? Although his father is indeed a bit human in many ways, he can't just change his father, right? The Kingdom of Wind. In a desolate valley. Fourth Kazekage Luosha came to the appointment on time according to the time and place written on Orochimaru's secret letter. However, Orochimaru? Fourth Kazekage coughed up blood, looked down and saw a piece of white and bloody bone spur piercing through his abdomen. He was so angry that his eyes were about to bulge out, and stared at the person opposite him. You, how dare you? Snort. The Kusanagi sword in Orochimaru's hand pierced directly through Raza's heart. I'm very sorry, Master Kazekage. Orochimaru licked his lips with his slender tongue, smiled and said, I didn't want to kill you so early. But, unfortunately, I have some problems recently. He didn't lie to Luosha about this. He has been really unlucky recently. The Akatsuki group of people have gone crazy recently. They have come to hunt him down in groups. Even with his strength, he has been beaten to a pulp. Several bases have been destroyed. In desperation, Orochimaru didn't even dare to stay in his old nest, the Sound Village. He was afraid that the ninja village he had spent several years to build would be destroyed by the Akatsuki group. This is the foundation for him to launch the Konoha collapse plan later. If the Sound Village is gone, what can he use to persuade Sunagakure to join forces? However, after temporarily leaving the Sound Village, Orochimaru now has no place to stay. He dares not go to other bases in the ninja world. If he really wants to go, maybe the crazy people of the Akatsuki organization will come to kill him again. So, simply, Orochimaru came to see 4th Kazekage Raza. Then, according to the plan prepared before, Raza was sent away earlier. Raza wanted to curse a few more words, but he had no strength at all. His eyes still revealed reluctance, and he gradually lost consciousness and fell down. Thank you for your hard work, Kimimaro. Orochimaru drew back the Kusanagi sword in his hand, shook off the blood on it and said, "It is my honor to serve Orochimaru-sama." Kimimaro lifted the curse seal state and said with a breath. Activating the second curse seal state is also a great burden for him. But as long as he can help Orochimaru-sama, even if he lets him die, he will not hesitate. It just so happens that there is a ready-made sacrifice here. Orochimaru looked at a Fengyin guard who was knocked unconscious next to him, smiled and said, "Come on, don't let Fengyin-sama wait anxiously." Yes. Yukushi Kabuto on the side hurriedly took action and extracted some cell tissues from Raza's body. Then, he skillfully cut a wound on the body of the Kazekage guard and stuffed these cell tissues into it. Reanimation Jutsu. Orochimaru quickly formed a seal with his hands and slapped his palm on the ground. Instantly, an invisible existence sank into the body of the Kazekage guard. The flying paper scraps quickly wrapped the Kazekage guard. After a heart-wrenching scream, Zekage guard gradually turned into the appearance of 4th Kazekage Raza. Rosa was a little confused and looked down at his hands. Didn't I die just now? Suddenly, he saw a familiar figure on the ground beside him. Rosa was completely stunned. Isn't that me? No. I died there. Who am I now? We meet again, Mr. Kazekage. Orochimaru said with a smile, for the next period of time, we will need Mr. Kazekage to cooperate with us and help us fool those sand shinobi ninjas. Episode 60, Raza is used as a tool, Obito Susanoo. Rosa paused for a long time before reacting. His eyes switched back and forth between his body on the ground and Orochimaru. His face was extremely ugly and he said, "You are, the second Hokage's reanimation jutsu?" Yes. Orochimaru smiled and said complacently, "Lord Kazekage has good insight. In addition, I need to thank you. Thanks to Lord Kazekage bringing guards, I don't even need to prepare the sacrifice for impure world reincarnation." Sacrifice? Rosa's face changed and he looked at his body. He had heard about the impure world reincarnation ninjutsu from the village elder Chiyo. It was developed by Konoha's second Hokage Senju Tobirama, a despicable forbidden technique that uses the souls of the dead. To perform this forbidden technique, it seems that a living person should be used as a sacrifice. And this living person is the Kazekage guard that he brought with him. You. Rosa was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Orochimaru, how dare you? Take the initiative to contact him and say that he wants to fight Konoha together with him. As a result, after I arrived, this bastard attacked me even though we were talking well. After the attack, he killed me, but that was not enough. He also used the guards he brought with him as sacrifices and impure world reincarnation me who had just died. Is this a human thing to do? Orochimaru, this bastard, has done all kinds of immoral things. I don't know what conspiracy you have against Sunagakure. Rosa's eyes became sharp, and he suddenly began to mobilize chakra, but, if you want me to cooperate with you to deceive Sunagakure, you are dreaming. Boom. The terrifying amount of chakra burst out from this impure earth body. Lord Kazekage, don't try to struggle. Orochimaru raised his fingers slightly upwards, made a seal, and said with a smile, I have made many improvements to the second Hokage ninjutsu, and you can't break free from my control. Rosa's face changed. As Orochimaru just made the seal, his body was completely out of control. Lord Kazekage, I actually have no conspiracy against Sunagakure. Orochimaru said sincerely, although I attacked you and killed you, I really wanted to launch the Jutsu Leaf Collapse plan with Sand Shinobi. Luosha was almost furious. You killed me, the Kazekage. It's over, and you still say you have no conspiracy against Sunagakure? Killing Lord Kazekage is purely out of helplessness. Orochimaru shook his head and said, due to some special circumstances, we are now lacking a place to stay, even if they can reach an agreement with the 4th Kazekage. Then temporarily settle in Sunagakure. But in this case, wouldn't it be like entrusting their own safety to the ninjas of Sunagakure? Orochimaru absolutely cannot accept such a thing. So, just kill the Kazekage directly. Then, use the form of impure world reincarnation to secretly control Sunagakure. Anyway, you don't need to pretend for too long. Just hold on until the Chunin exam. So, Mr. Kazekage can rest assured for the time being. Orochimaru smiled and said, although I killed you, the Konoha collapse plan we agreed on before will still continue. Rosa's face was dark. What the hell is the plan to collapse Konoha? Sunagakure even gave away his own Kazekage. This is a huge loss. Unless Konoha can be swallowed up in one wave this time, otherwise, Sand Shinobi can be said to have lost everything this time, a huge loss. But, to be honest, if possible, I don't want to kill the Kazekage like this. Orochimaru looked at the corpse on the ground beside him, shook his head, and said with some regret. Rosa was a little puzzled. This bastard, he did all kinds of wicked things. What kind of nonsense is he talking about now? Do you think you can cooperate with me like this? Dream on. I'm telling the truth. Orochimaru looked at Rosa's unbelieving expression and explained, if possible, instead of killing the Kazekage, use the Kazekage as a sacrifice to summon the first Hokage. Orochimaru said, and couldn't help but yearn for it. On the side. Seeing Rosa's puzzled expression, Yakushi Kabuto explained, for the impure world reincarnation jutsu, the strength of the summoned person depends on the quality of the sacrifice. And if you use the Kazekage-sama as a sacrifice, I think the first Hokage will be able to exert a strength closer to his peak in his lifetime. Of course. This may cause other problems. The summoned first Hokage is too strong. I'm afraid that by then, even Lord Orochimaru will not be able to control him. You bastards. Rosa was so angry that his teeth were about to break, and he felt that his soul was almost out of his body. Opposite. Orochimaru observed carefully. He said so much just now just to deliberately provoke Rosa. The last time he summoned the third Kazekage, because he caused the evil world third Kazekage and the third Kazekage puppet of Sasori to fight, the third Kazekage was furious and directly forcibly lifted the impure world reincarnation and returned to the Pure Land. This time, Orochimaru made improvements specifically for this aspect. And looking at the current situation of Rosa, although he is very angry, the impure world reincarnation is still maintained very well. It seems that there should be no problem with the improvement in this aspect. Master Orochimaru, there is another problem. Yakushi Kabuto pointed to the impure world crack on Rosa's face. This crack needs to be covered up. Otherwise, when using impure world Rosa to fool the Sand Shinobi ninja later, it will still be exposed. Hehe, Kabuto, these are just small problems. Orochimaru walked to the body of Rosa lying on the ground nearby, stretched out his hand and made a seal. Have you forgotten this special ninjutsu of mine? This is the erasing face technique? Yakushi Kabuto suddenly realized. Using the erasing face technique, the face of Rosa's body was transplanted onto the face of Edo World Rosa. In this way, using Edo World Rosa to disguise as a living Kazekage is foolproof. On the side, Edo World Rosa watched Orochimaru fiddle with his body and the body of his Edo World body. He was almost desperate. In the desert, the sea of trees covering the ancient city of Lulan appeared in Edo World Rosa's vision. However, at this moment, it was Orochimaru's consciousness that was controlling Rosa's Edo World body. After many improvements by Orochimaru, the current impure world reincarnation can directly project his own consciousness into the mind of the Edo World ninja. In this way, it is equivalent to impure world reincarnation. The caster of reincarnation went online to play for him. After successfully killing Rosa, Orochimaru controlled Rosa, disguised as the living Kazekage, and secretly took over Sunagakure. Of course, Orochimaru was also worried that Rosa, who he controlled, might be exposed if he had too much contact with the Sand Shinobi ninjas. So, these days, he tried to control Rosa and not meet with the Sand Shinobi ninjas too often. And the Kazekage couldn't always stay out. So, Orochimaru simply controlled Rosa and took the initiative to leave the Sand Shinobi, which was considered a mission. It happened that I saw a mission about the Dragon Vein in the Kazekage's office. For the power of the Dragon Vein, Orochimaru was also a little curious. By the way, he took this opportunity to control Rorosha to take a look. Huh? Rorosha's expression changed slightly. According to the location shown on the map, this should be near the ruins of the ancient city of Lulan. But there is no forest marked on the map? And in the desert, such a forest should be unlikely to exist, right? Is it the influence of the active power of the Dragon Vein? Rorosha guessed, secretly raised his vigilance, and walked cautiously towards the woods ahead. Ahead. In the ancient city of Lulan. Kakashi Shiro, Obito, Senju Hashirama, and Gaara siblings are still here. Obito and the others have reported the situation here to the Empire. Waiting for the arrangement of the Empire. At the same time, it can be regarded as understanding the situation of Sunagakure in this ninja world through Gaara and others. Huh? Senju Hashirama's eyebrows suddenly moved, and he turned his head to look in a certain direction of the sea of trees. Someone is coming. This appearance is the fourth Kazekage. It's the same as the fourth Kazekage he saw in Gaara's memory. Huh? Kankuro looked surprised. Did father come here in person? Father, is he worried that we might be in danger when we come to perform this mission? Temari guessed. While speaking, he also looked at the people around him. Yeah. It was indeed dangerous. RTU. The abnormal situation encountered was a bit serious. It was so serious that even if my father came, I might not be able to handle it. Ridiculous. Gaara had a good sleep before, and now he was in much better spirits, but his expression was still grim. How could that man come here for such a thing? Caring about his own children. This kind of thing has nothing to do with that man, Luo Sha. Just right. Obito stood up and pointed in the direction of Senju Hashirama. How about I kill your humanoid father directly? Anyway, he is not worthy of being a father. I agree. Gaara said with his arms folded. If he could kill him with his own hands, it would be even better. Hey. Temari looked a little anxious. You, don't do it for real. Hey, Obito, this is not good, right? Kakashi-bai couldn't help but dissuade him. Killing a 5 Kage, for this kind of thing, I think it's better to get the official decision from your empire first. Uchiha Obito thought about it and nodded, but still a little dissatisfied. Tisk, it's really troublesome. It's also a good thing for you guys if that psychotic father dies early. Seeing this, Temari and Kankuro were relieved immediately. Their father's life was saved. But we should still deal with it, right? Senju Hashirama said, that fourth Kazekage should come here for the Dragon Vein, and we can't let him affect the Dragon Vein. This is the only exit for the Empire to send people over. It must be guarded. Let me go. Obito said excitedly. When he heard Senju Hashirama and Gaara siblings talking about Raza's human-like deeds, he couldn't help it. This kind of person, killing him early, would be a contribution to the bright future of the ninja world. Don't worry, I will definitely pay attention to controlling the strength. Obito looked at Temari and Kankuro, whose faces changed again. I will definitely keep his life. Temari and Kankuro looked at each other. They sighed together. Father, you wish for the best. In the sea of trees. Tap tap tap. A burst of undisguised footsteps came from the depths of the sea of trees. Are you the inhuman Kazekage? Before the person arrived, the voice came first. Obito's voice came from the depths of the sea of trees in front. I've been looking forward to seeing you for a long time. Soon. Obito's figure appeared behind a towering tree in front. Ito Tendu Raza was puzzled. At the same time, hiding in the dark, using the vision of Ito Tendu Raza to see here Orochimaru was in doubt. Is someone waiting for the fourth Kazekage here? What's going on? Would anyone know that the fourth Kazekage would come here? This shouldn't be the case. He controlled the Edo Tensei to check the dragon veins. This was something he did on a whim. And Orochimaru stared at the face of the person who appeared opposite him through the Edo Tensei vision. This face. Why does it seem familiar? He seemed to have seen this face somewhere in the past, and there was a vague impression in his mind. It seemed that it was someone he had met in the past. But who could it be? I wanted to take the initiative to find you. Obito crossed his arms and sneered. I didn't expect you to come to me on your own initiative. Edo Tensei Raza was confused and didn't know the other party's identity, so he had to pretend to be a Kazekage's reaction. The abnormal movement of the dragon vein some time ago was caused by you? So what if it was me? Obito sneered. Edo Tensei Raza was more and more confused. This guy. Is he so arrogant? Facing a Kazekage, he has no fear at all? What is the origin of this guy? Forget it. Don't think about it. As long as we can take this guy down, we will naturally know his identity at that time. Then please die. As he said that, Edo Tensei Raza reached out and took out a scroll from his waist and unfolded it quickly. Wow. The overwhelming golden sand was flying all over the sky. Under the control of Edo Tensei Raza's magnet style, endless golden sand quickly pressed towards Obito. Magnet style, but do you only master this most basic usage? Uchiha Obito nodded and commented. This level is far inferior to the piercing sand of the Empire. Boom. A large amount of gold sand engulfed the place where Obito was. It's not this level, is it? Edo Tensei Raza's eyes narrowed slightly, and he looked carefully at the place where Obito was. In the large amount of gold sand. A blue light flashed. Your magnet style, is it not this level? Obito stretched out a layer of blue Susanoo in the shape of ribs around his body, and said to Edo Tensei Raza with disdain, if it's just this level, it can't even warm me up. What is it? Orochimaru, who was hiding in the dark, was shocked. That blue chakra armor. There's no mistake. It's the legendary Susanoo of the Uchiha clan. God's power, Susanoo. This guy. Who is he? Is he the descendant of the Uchiha clan's bloodline that remains in the ninja world? And, it seems that it should still be opened Mangekyo Sharingan, the descendant of Susanoo's bloodline who can perform. In an instant. The greed in Orochimaru's eyes was almost uncontrollable. Another pair of Mangekyo Sharingan. However, this time, he is not facing Uchiha Itachi directly with his main body. This time, he is using impure world reincarnation to remotely control the Edo Tensei to fight. The original flaw in illusion is no longer a problem. Take that guy. Then, get this perfect body with Mangekyo Sharingan activated. Thinking of this, Orochimaru immediately remotely controlled the Edo Tensei, quickly retreated, and stood on a big tree behind. Then, with a wave of his hands, he controlled all the gold sand on the ground and pressed towards Uchiha Obito's Susanoo together, covering the blue one-person high Susanoo armor, and began to squeeze desperately. However, soon. Boom. The madly compressed golden sand exploded. The half-body Susanoo giant, several stories high, forcibly broke through the compression of the golden sand and showed a terrifying figure in the boundless sea of trees. Buzz. The searchlight-like eyes in the blue half-body giant's eyes suddenly lit up. Good, keep going. Uchiha Obito stood in Susanoo, his hands folded across his chest, and said in a genuine evaluation.